Okay, hopefully this works. So if we took this transformation, and I didn't tell you it was a reflection, alright, but I just gave you the transformation itself. Take every point xy, transform it to where x stays x, but y becomes the opposite. Um, you just got to take every point in this triangle, or at least the vertices in this triangle, alright, triangle DEF, and leave all the x coordinates alone, but change all the y coordinates to its opposite. So if I took D prime is going to be at x stays 1, and then y becomes the opposite, so the opposite of 2 is negative 2. E prime is going to be 6, stays the same, but the opposite 4 is negative 4. And then F prime is going to be 7, stays the same, but that 1 becomes the opposite of 1, which is negative 1. So if I graph all these points at 1, negative 2, 1, negative 2, that's right here, that's D prime. At 6, negative 4, 6, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right here, that is E prime. And then at 7, negative 1, 7, negative 1 is right here, and that is F prime. So if I connect all of those points together, you're going to notice that you have to say, hey, this is a mirror image of that pre-image triangle DEF, and you have to say, hey, this is a reflection over the x-axis. So if on a test they ask you to do this, and they ask describe what the transformation is, you would say, hey, this is a reflection. I like to say over the x-axis, but the book uses across x-axis. Alright, and that's how that's done. Okay, remember how rotation, or how I said rotation is probably the toughest transformation to get down? Well, first of all, we're only talking about rotation 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. That means we're just spinning around the origin of the coordinate plane. So the algebraic way of writing down rotation for transformation might be easier for some people. I'm not saying for everybody, but if we take every point x comma y, all right, and in this case we're just talking about the vertices of the shape or the figures we're talking about, and rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, what happens is the y becomes our x, and our x not necessarily becomes our y. It actually, the opposite of x is going to be our y. Let me go and skip down to 90 degrees counterclockwise. Taking every point of a rotation transformation, it's actually the opposite of what I wrote up there. Alright, so the x is going to be, of the image, will be the opposite of y, and the y, it becomes our x. Alright, so it's the opposite going the other way, so obviously it's be the opposite form. For 180 degrees, every point is going to get transformed to the opposite. Alright, where it's actually negative x and negative y. All three of these will take some time. So again, just like everything else, practice it to get better at it. So let's take this example 3 and apply it. So I'm not going to tell you, obviously we're practicing rotation, but if this was given to you in this assignment and they ask you describe the transformation, and you just take a look at this right here, and you're asking, hey, what are they asking us to do? And they just say, every point xy is going to get transformed where the x value now becomes the opposite of y and the y value now becomes the x. All you need to do is just take every point and apply that. So we took G and we're trying to figure out what G prime is going to be. Well, G is right here. Alright, so if you look at this right here, it says take y for x and take the opposite of it. So G prime is going to be the opposite of -4 is +4. And then take x and just make that our y. So our x here is -5, so that's going to be -y. Alright, so that's G prime. H prime is the same thing. Our x is going to be the opposite of y, so whatever y is here, which is -3. Alright, -3. The opposite of -3 is +3, so that's going to be our x. And then our y value is just going to be the same as the x value there, which is -1. And then for the I prime, we're just taking that number right there, -1, take the opposite of -1, becomes +1, and taking this number here, exactly what it is, which is going to be -2. Now if we graph those points, G prime is going to be at 4, -5. G prime is at 4, -5, so you go to 1, 2, 3, 4, down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right there is G prime. H prime is at 3, -1, so 1, 2, 3, -1 right there. That's going to be our H prime. And then I prime is at 1, -2, so +1, -2, 1, 2 is right there. So that's going to be our I prime. So if we connect all of those vertices together, what you're going to end up having is a counterclockwise rotation 90 degrees. So this is a let's do that again. This is a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation, alright, about origin. So to describe that transformation is just saying it's a 90 degrees counterclockwise because it's going in that direction, which is counterclockwise. Alright, so going back to what we were talking about, the algebraic form of writing down these rotations, it may help some people. This might have confused quite a few. Alright, just getting the idea of opposites, going back to the opposites, might confuse some people. But again, like everything else, you got to practice. Practice does make permanent.